Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
Welcome back, everyone, to Cardinals Corner. I'm Lauren Koval, and I am joined by Tyler Drake, who has once again left me solo to hold down this studio all on my own. But he has a very good reason, and that's because he is out at the Cardinals practice facility today, getting all the inside details before the Cardinals' final preseason game of the season. So, Tyler, how are you doing?
I'm good. Obviously, this is not Cardinals facility, but had to get back home because we both have some other duties on top of doing a podcast, you being Burns and Gambo producer. So you've got a show to go run. So got to knock something out, though, before we get to that preseason finale. But first of all, yeah, how's your day going?
It's good. It's good. I mean, we got a late start today. The D-backs are in action right now, seeing what they can do against the Guardians. So it leaves us with the perfect time to tape this podcast.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So today, another day of practice down there in Tempe. Obviously, back to the 20 minutes of open portion, then very much closed. Can't report on what's going on there. So not a ton to report from on the field, but we have plenty of stuff to go through. But I think we have to start with something that happened off the field today with our buddy Paris Johnson Jr. I think a new Paris pod is in order after his comments about the way he uses Chat GPT. It was great. Yeah, very, very fun time there in the interview room today. He talked about how not only does he look at the percentages of, having a offensive line coach go from college to the pros with you, but he also takes a look at some very random conspiracies that he can't really get into on the record. So I'm already doing some digging there. We'll see what we can find. But I had to start there because that had to be one of the funniest quotes of training camp. And then I got to ask you, what's the conspiracy you want to know?
Oh, so many. I feel like not even necessarily.
Or your favorite one, I should say.
Okay. I'm not even necessarily being a conspiracy theorist, but I watch a lot of murder documentaries. Okay. I find them very calming. So when I go home at night, I'll watch a murder documentary, and I'd love to know the unsolved ones, who did it. There's a level of if you could know anything, who committed all these crimes on those murder docs?
For me, it's got to be, and it's easy. It's an easy two. Bigfoot, Loch Ness. What is really going on? So maybe I'll start using Chat GPT to figure out how we can debunk what's going on with Nessie and good old Sasquatch. Because
we could take Cardinals Corner on the road, head out to Scotland, see what's going on there. Mm-hmm.
We'll take Paris with us. He can be our lead investigator. This is perfect.
I'm getting the vibes of a horrible 1980s crime show that airs at noon on Tuesdays kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, there used to be that one. There used to be that show Finding Bigfoot, which you can tell was just very much not great. We could actually be the real life hunters,
of trying to find Bigfoot. That would be
why not?
That would be a career pivot for the both of us, but I'm not shutting it down. I'm not shutting it down.
We'll take the pod on the road. We'll just change it to Cardinals Conspiracies. There we go. Or Conspiracy Corner. There we go.
Oh, I like the alliteration. I like all of it. It's rolling off the tongue here, Tyler.
Okay. We can move past that. I just had to get that out of the way because that was too funny not to talk about. And obviously Paris just very comfortable with us now and obviously taking on more of a leader role. And you can tell that too, just talking with him today. But let's get into preseason finale. We've got battles. We've got players to talk about. On which side of the football do you want to start? Who's somebody right away that you're looking at battles wise, or just players specifically that you need to show out or need to have something good put on tape heading in after this finale?
Well, we just talked about one of the friends of our podcast, and that being Paris Johnson Jr. And I'm going to jump to another friend of the podcast, and that's Elijah Jones, because he is so hard to pin down in the sense of, yes, this is his second year with the team, but he's really just a rookie if we think about it. And what have you seen from him being out there as a second-year player, but really as a guy who's just like coming into his own. And now you have him going up against Hall, who's really stringing together a series of great performances so far in this preseason. Do they necessarily have the same skill sets? No. Can you judge them off of their performance equally? No. And I think it'll be interesting to see if Elijah Jones can sort of battle into this role and cement himself as a guy they need to keep on the roster, because he seems like the kind of player where if you're the Cardinals and you hope that you can bring him back to the practice squad, maybe if you don't bring him to the 53-man, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he's gone, if another team picks him up and he doesn't even have the opportunity to head to your practice squad. Same thing with Hall. I could see him getting picked up by a different team as well. I mean, we just saw the Colts go out there and pick up a cornerback like 2-3 days ago because they realized they needed depth in that position. So that's where I'm keeping my eye on heading into this preseason game, is who can sort of sell me on that role, or also can Elijah Jones sort of use that being a rookie without being a rookie to his benefit and surprise some people.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you brought up the Colts needing a cornerback, because Darren Hall's got that Colts past. He played for them. They like him a lot. But once again, he's not on that team. He got signed again by the Cardinals. So when I'm looking at these battles now, it's a lot of, yes, who's the better player, but it's also who's going to be able to get back on the practice squad over the other person. Does the third round, second year player, just on that standing alone, looks more enticing for somebody to go, hey, let's go take a flyer on him. Whereas Darren Hall, who has done this song and dance multiple times, you could probably get away with it. So I would say, yes, I think that's a great way to start, is Elijah Jones versus Darren Hall. That's one battle I'm watching. And I think right now Elijah Jones has it. I think that fumble he had in the red zone really got him back into a neck and neck race with him. I give him the slight edge because of his standing of second year, third round pick. Those are just the things that are going to still be looked at by this team, even though, yes, play is going to factor in too. So if he can have one more game of just making the tackle and having one of those highlight reel plays, I think it's his job. And I had nothing against Darren Hall. I think he's still a practice squad guy. I think he can still be a piece of this team, can still come up on game days if they needed him to. But I think you have to still stick with Elijah maybe one more year. If he has another struggling year like he did this past one with the injuries and whatnot, and maybe poor play, then you have to evaluate next year. But I think you can't give up on him yet. So that's a good place to start for sure, because I feel like we're getting there with Elijah. I think he's close to really just saying, nope, I'm going to take this last spot, but we got to see it in this finale for sure.
And we also know that specifically this group of Monty Austin-Fort and Jonathan Gannon like to hold on to their guys. They drafted Elijah Jones. They knew what he was capable of. They went out there and they got him in the third round because they were confident enough. Did they draft a lot of cornerbacks to create some real depth that year? Yeah, they did. I mean, it's right when we saw Max come in too. And we're talking about him nonstop on this podcast for his performance being solidified for this team. So it's a lot of, you know that you liked this guy. You know what he's capable of. So just having him stick around, is that worth it for this team? And I think it is. And I think another battle that we've really got to look at, which we talked about briefly last week, is that Simmons-Mustipher battle of what's happening there. And is Bilal Nichols gone? And is Justin Jones gone? And what does the future hold for that room?
Yeah, that's another one of those very tricky situations because, Bilal Nichols hasn't practiced. I mean, Justin Jones was practicing. He has a knee injury. So it's like, what do you do with these guys? We're getting close to final cutdown day. There's decisions are going to have to be made. Are they IR? Do they stay on PUP? Or does at least Bilal stay on PUP? Walter Nolan, what do you do with him? Is he on PUP to start the year? Because it's starting to look like that a lot. I wrote on ArizonaSports.com, this is an important week for Walter. If he can't come back, which we're about at the end of this week, it's not looking good for him to be ready by week one. So something to watch there for sure. But when you're looking at the guys that are actually playing, because Justin Jones is in the conversation, he's got to be healthy, though. If he's not healthy, he can't show you anything. A guy who has been huge on availability before he got to town, I think that shows you what you need to do. So right now, Mustipher and Elijah Simmons, and it's the same situation, I think, with Elijah Jones and Darren Hall. Who can you afford to not bring back and still get on the practice squad? Because I think if I'm looking at it, I think PJ Mustipher has done more. I think he's been one of the more like the bigger highlights on the back end of the roster this camp. I mean, he lost like 40 pounds this offseason just trying to get in a better spot, and it's cut out snacking. So clearly I got to do that too, and maybe we'll get somewhere. But that's huge. I mean, and that shows you. I mean, JG has talked about him a couple of times about how he really loves his dedication, and that typically means good things. But at the same time, I think a lot of people were watching where Elijah Simmons was going to go coming out of just being an undrafted rookie free agent. They still might want to give him a shot. So you run the risk of cutting a guy who has had his moments in training camp, who might need to stack a couple more days of practice finale. But it's going to be very interesting. I think, in my opinion, I've had PJ in there, but now I think I'm going to switch it to Elijah, because I think it's more of this thinking of how can you keep both guys roster gymnastics and not run the risk of losing one. And I think the best way to do it is keep Elijah, bring back PJ on the practice squad. Because, I mean, we talked to PJ yesterday, and he was a great interview. Talked a lot about how he prides himself on just being a guy who can just be trusted on. And so I think there's a spot for him. I just think it's going to start with practice squad.
And Jonathan Gannon doesn't necessarily reveal a lot to the media, but you can always sort of dice in between what he's saying and find a little bit of truth there. And listening to him enough over these past few years, I feel like almost what he's not saying is the more important stuff than what he is actually saying.
Here's an example of that from today. He was asked about Christian Jones and Hayden Conner's availability for week 1. Very, very quickly, very short. He's unsure. That's all he said. It says more about what he doesn't say sometimes than what he actually does say. And I think when you get these short answers, you know that, okay, there's probably some doubt there.
And I think that's the perfect point to exactly what I was going to bring up, which is the Walter Nolan situation, because it is looking more and more and more like he will not be ready for week 1. So then at some point, do you just go, okay, let's add him to the IR. Let's keep him there for the 4 weeks, and then we'll see if we can see him week 5 and play. Do you see that as an option for the Cardinals to start the season?
Yeah, 100. I mean, they would move him to the reserve pup list. That'd be 4 weeks. I mean, it really comes down to if they think that he can come back within those 4 weeks. Because if not, then yeah, you put him on there. You open up that roster spot for somebody else. And here's the big thing: it's a calf injury. And the other thing, they're gonna not want to rush him back. We saw it last year with Darius. You don't want to do it again. Don't be snake bitten twice by the same injury, even though they're going to be a little bit different. Second, they don't need him to come back right away. This isn't a team from last year, the year before, where it's like every injury is 2 or 3 wins off the record. No, they don't need him. They have Calais, they've got Dalvin, they've got Darius, they've got Dante Stills, they've got LJ Collier, one of the guys we just talked about, PJ or Elijah. Maybe some other guy comes in from another team. Like, they've got the depth where they don't need to rush this guy back and risk further injury. So be smart, and it's not going to be what the fans want. They want him to come play week 1. But I can tell you right now, you don't want to risk his trajectory now for down the line. And I mean, and it's a completely different situation, but B.J. Ojulari, what's his trajectory even going to look like moving forward? We don't know. He hasn't practiced either. He's another guy on the pup. He could very well start the season on the reserve pup list, like I expect Bilal and Walter. I mean, that's really where we're coming down to. If you can't practice, you can't take up a roster spot. So it's getting, we're like I said, this is the week that I thought if he was going to come back and actually have a chance of playing, like he had to come off pup this week. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who's on that pup list to start the season. And then once they're ready to come back, who's getting moved now that you need to put them onto the 53-man roster. So there's almost less interest to me in terms of who are they going to cut on cut down day in a week's-ish time from now versus who's going to start the season on that pup. When are we going to see those guys? I mean, like you said with Nolan, everything you said is completely accurate. I mean, yeah, you don't want to rush him back. You don't want him to get re-injured. He's a guy who really prides himself on that speed and that ability to attack. But also, as a Cardinals fan, you sit there and you go, again? Like, we're doing this again, and we're doing it back-to-back years. Like, how are we dealing with this? Yes, they have depth. Yes, they don't necessarily need him to be back right away. But also, just as a fan of the game, you want to see the guy that you spend your time going out there and getting early in this draft actually be out there on the field for you to see what they can execute.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the frustration's warranted for sure. It's a back-to-back, seems like the same thing's happening. It's just, you've got to give this time. And that's the best part about it. That's the beauty of it all, is there is time that you can give, because you've got this revamped defensive line, ton of veterans, or two really good veterans, some younger guys. I mean, Dante Stills, we've said it again and again and again, most underrated Cardinal on the team, I think. I think Tip Ryman was right there too, but he's getting a lot of love this week, so we've got to kind of pump the brakes on underrated for him right now, though. He's a very big part of this offense. But yeah, Dante Stills, he continues to be one of those guys, and his consistency is what stands out. And I think that's been the big thing from the coaching staff too, is they're seeing it on the field. I mean, the guy was, I think, a healthy scratch game one of his rookie season, to now being like, we have to have this guy in the rotation, or else we're going to lose. We're going to lose plays. So it's cool to see that, and he's a good dude too. But let's get back to some battles. This one's pretty tight. I think these last couple are going to be very close. Safety, Joey Blount, Keaton Crawford. This one is pretty fascinating, because I really did not think Keaton Crawford was going to have a shot of usurping special teams ace Joey Blount, but the dude has shown it not only on the defensive side with the pick and a lot of tackles, done it special teams too. It's very interesting. And again, I think it's squeezing that 53-man roster. Who can be a practice squad guy, who can't. I think possibly both of them might get picked up by somebody just because of what they both are showing. I mean, Joey Blount, I think this year hasn't done as much as I've seen from Keaton. Still doing stuff, but not to the extent that I've seen Keaton. But Joey Blount's got the resume. Somebody's going to grab him if he's if he's not on this roster. But that's another really tight battle.
And is there another battle that you said that you're looking to round out?
Well, inside linebacker, you look at that, Cody Simon. You've got Owen Papo, who I think is on the back end of that. I don't know how many they're going to keep. It might be 4. It could be 5. If they keep 4, I mean, it could be 3. Who knows? And if they keep 3, I don't think Owen's on the team. I think he's a practice squad guy or somewhere else. Because right now it looks like it's going to be Mac Wilson, Akeem Davis-Gaither. Those are your starters. Cody Simon is coming up. He looks like he's getting in a little bit more now. And then you've got Owen. And then after that, I think Michael Walker would be the next guy, because it's special teams. But if you keep 4, Owen stays on. Keep 5, it's Michael Walker. But I mean, it's going to be very close. And I think the roles are going to get defined even more. Like, they might all make the team, but who's got the role and who doesn't?
And a lot of this,
a
lot of this even breaks down to how many guys are they deciding to keep in other positional battles. I mean, are they going to keep Jacoby Brissett and Clayton Tune? No way. So then it's okay. Tune's gone. Now we got 2 QBs. Now that opens up a slot that the Cardinals didn't have last year that they'll have this year. So who are you using there? There's a little bit more flexibility all around the roster. It's a lot of question marks. I mean, we're getting reports now the Cleveland Browns are keeping 4 QBs on their roster. So
that's wild.
Who the hell knows what's going on over there?
And then we've got, last one for me would be wide receiver. The back end.
Yes.
Tejon Palmer, Simi Fehoko. That easily those two. I think it's Simi's job to lose now. He had that touchdown. I think the big thing with him was just getting healthy. We've seen that now. We got to talk to him for the first time this week, and the dude is very much, he seems like a very good vet to have in the room. I mean, Marvin even told me, he's great. I've learned how to be better coming back to the football. Like, the guy, he's rubbing off on this wide receivers room. So I think that plus what he can do on special teams is pretty invaluable. And Tejon, he had that drop early in the last game. I think those are the moments where you've got to step up and make plays. I mean, Gannon, all this training camp, all throughout preseason, has talked about making plays, point of attack. That's where the emphasis needs to be. And it just comes down to making plays and not. And I think right now, Simi is making more than Tejon. And I think that's going to bleed into this finale and then into roster cuts, and we'll see that. And I think Palmer comes back as a practice squad guy. I think he's taking steps forward, so I think it's good to still have him in the facility, but I think Fehoko rounds out that room.
And that's 4 or 5 positional battles right there for you to keep your eye on just as the Cardinals wrap up their preseason slate this weekend. Tyler, anything else you wanted to touch on this podcast?
Oh, yeah, we definitely have to give a shout out to the Give-a-thon, which is going on right now this week. Phoenix Children's, Arizona Sports, KTARs. You can go find all the info on the website. But a little personal side of that, my cousin Madison actually beat leukemia twice with the help of Phoenix Children's. So definitely really close to home for us. So if you can, please donate. It means a lot to the kids there in the hospital. So anything you can do. We definitely had to give it a mention, though, because it's a great cause every year. I'm glad to work for a company that does this. It's one of the biggest hospital fundraisers, I think, in the country. So just a really, really cool thing. Yeah, it's awesome.
It is the biggest radio hospital fundraiser in the country. We're looking to beat the record from last year that was just over $2 million. And if you need a link to donate or share the wealth in any way that you can find all of those links on arizonasports.com, on Arizona Sports Twitter, Facebook, and all of our individual show pages. Also, if you happen to listen to Arizona Sports Radio, as I'm sure that you do, we're talking about it every single hour on every show, a new way for you guys to donate, and also a few giveaways as well. So with that, Tyler, anything else?
Nope. Go be a producer and I'll get back to writing.
All right. Sounds good. And with that, that wraps up this week's episode of Cardinals Corner. And just like Tyler said, if you want to go read about ChatGPT, Bigfoot, conspiracy theories, all of the above, you can do so at arizonasports.com because Tyler is cranking out the content right there. You can follow Tyler at CheDrake4Sports. You can follow Cardinals Corner at AZCards Corner. And you can follow me at Koval_Lauren. And be sure to tune in next week as we've got a lot to wrap up as preseason comes to an end. And we'll check in on Tyler's predictions for the 53-man roster and see just how well or how poorly he did. Either way, we will expose him on this podcast. So with that, we'll see you next week, Bird Gang.